let's wrap up gaming news and talk about something we set up last week. We had that listener question from John R. So for those who don't recall from last week, Marvel's What If inspired a question: what your video game what if would be? An alternate universe video game history caused by an event changing. Again, his example is Pokemon releasing 10 years earlier on the NES and what effect that would have. And then you mentioned last week, what if the Nintendo PlayStation came out? So for those who don't know, in video game history, Sony approached Nintendo about cooperating with them to create a disc-based console. Notoriously, Nintendo backed out at the last minute, kind of screwed Sony over, and then Sony, out of spite, was like, well, we'll release our own shit. And then the PlayStation 1 was born, and they carved out a huge chunk of the market and even took some game franchises that were traditionally Nintendo exclusive, like Final Fantasy. Because cartridges are a little bit harder to program for, and they're more expensive. So a lot of people saw the CD-based option on PlayStation and were like, let's rock with Sony.
Yep.
Now, you had a whole week to think about it. What implications or what kind of alternate realities are spanning from this in your mind?
Nintendo PlayStation, it comes out. It does gangbusters. I mean, it kills the sales charts. Then we're looking over at Sega. Sega's just coming out with a new system, and it's not doing so well. Well, guess what? Now Microsoft wants to get into the gaming business, but they don't want to put their neck out like that. So they decide to partner with Sega, which kind of quasi has already happened because Sega kind of developed a lot of games for Xbox as well. Then you have the Sega Xbox. Okay. And so now you've not got the big three, you've got the big two going at it with each other. And now we only have two choices for companies to choose from for games and consoles, which is not great, but at least we don't get the Dreamcast and the Saturn dying on us, because those are good consoles in themselves. But they just couldn't stand up to the juggernauts that were Sony and Nintendo.
So you think the issue with Sega was, one, they didn't have Microsoft fuck you money, and two, they were going up against the 1-2 punch of Nintendo and Sony. Specifically
for sure.
PlayStation 2.
For sure. If PlayStation didn't come out and it was just the Nintendo PlayStation and that was it, Sega would still be in the game.
It'd have a bigger market share.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be 50-50.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. Because then you got all those series, or they were on the exclusive to Sega, like Power Stone, Canon.
Fast forward a few years to Smash Brothers, specifically Melee, and all of a sudden, Kratos is in Melee.
Right, but do we even get Kratos ever? You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
I agree with you though. Nintendo does seem to shy away from first-party mature games. Name a Nintendo first-party game that's mature. I can think of
Mad World is like the only one I can think of.
And again, that was developed by Sega.
Oh, that wasn't even a first-party game. Exactly.
Yeah, well, it was exclusive.
And again, it was developed by Sega.
And that's the difference. There's exclusives, and then there's Nintendo or first-party developed. Because I could think of Eternal Darkness, but I think that was Crystal Dynamics?
Probably.
I can't remember the developer, but again, that's Nintendo exclusive. It's even celebrated in Smash Brothers, which I think is hilarious with the spirit. Fatal Frame, they had one, but again, that's not first part.
That's not, yeah.
I can't think of a single one.
There is one.
Maybe there would be no Kratos. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly, man. Are we getting? I don't think Crash Bandicoot exists either.
Maybe not. Well, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, no, because I feel like Crash Bandicoot was Sony trying to go after Mario.
Right.
So they went to Naughty Dog. Right, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, but Naughty Dog could have still come out with their own. I mean, because if they were somehow under the umbrella of Sony, or still somehow were to develop games, maybe they wouldn't be exclusive to Sony, Nintendo, or maybe they would. But they'd probably eventually make the games they want to make, and that would include platformers. But you're right, Crash seems like such an answer to, we need to have our own quote-unquote Mario. So I get you there.
Yeah, and you also got to think, if Sony is just basically providing some technical and money aspects to Nintendo. They're not really involved in the development of games or going after companies. Then Nintendo's just going to do what Nintendo does, and that's its own thing.
Yeah, even with less competition, they always go their own way. To me, it seems like it would be a bad thing. Like, it would lessen the diversity in the games market. To me...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to me, I
never said it was a good thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, you're right. Just a lot of implications. We were thinking about how things, So Sega dying is kind of rough, but again, Xbox came in and filled that void. Then you got the big three, and of course, PC, and then you got the indie game scene, and Xbox was fostering that to try to get more exclusives and stuff on their side, so that really helped the indie scene grow. Who knows what the indie scene would look like if Xbox hadn't gotten in the game or got in with less competition? Who knows?
Yeah, I think we would have gotten a lot of the things that we did get. It just would have taken a much longer time.
You think so? Okay. That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, I did think of a what if scenario. So my what if for gaming history would be, what if the Final Fantasy movie didn't bomb?
Oh.
What if Final Fantasy the movie was amazing?
Final Fantasy really The Spirits good. Within was amazing.
Yeah.
Sir. I'm just kidding. It was not good.
If everybody remembers the effect of that that costly movie, like everybody, I mean, I lauded like how realistic it looked at the time, and now you go back and go, oh, this looks like Reboot.
Right? Reboot.
It bombed and lost the company a lot of money, and so Hironobu Sakaguchi does what Japanese CEOs do, and he's like, I'm stepping down because I steered this ship and I fucked up. And then that also caused the Squaresoft Enix merger, right? Yeah. So Squaresoft and Enix probably would not have merged, at least not initially, when they did. And Hironobu Sakaguchi and, by extension, Nobuo Uematsu would have stayed with Square, and they would not have split off and made Mistwalker. So you may not have gotten those exclusive RPGs for Xbox, Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, or The Last Story for Wii. You would have gotten iterations of those stories because they were probably already written down somewhere or in Hironobu's heart, and that would have been maybe future Final Fantasies or other games that Square would have put out.
Right.
Square may have actually just stuck with RPGs and not had branched out to try to publish other games. We may have just gotten better games from Square. And Enix, who knows if they would have modernized as quickly or how they would have branched out. Yeah. But I think that the future of Final Fantasy itself and pretty much every game in the Final Fantasy series after 10 would have been hugely different. Personally, in my personal opinion, probably better. But again, the effects of all that is what I've been thinking about all week. I think it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Speaking on something you mentioned in there, I think Blue Dragon would have turned out to be a Dragon Quest game.
But it was Mistwalker, though. Why? I mean, are you saying, like, because Hironobu Sakaguchi, like, that was his company. They made that game.
Right.
So how would it be Dragon Quest if he's not working for Enix, or they didn't buy Enix?
I confused myself. I'm sorry. It basically is a Dragon Quest game, though, for all intents and purposes.
Not really. Have you played it? It's nothing like Dragon Quest.
Hell yeah, I beat it.
The only.
Well, I know the character designers.
It's just the art.
Yeah.
It's just the character designer. That's it. Nothing else about Blue Dragon has anything to do with Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest. Like Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest, up until its most recent iteration, is a very traditional turn-based RPG that covers a very specific formula, usually a very specific type of game world. And the there's obviously a turn-based RPG in Blue Dragon. The mechanics, the shadow mechanics, the overworld mechanics, the story, the music, everything else is different. I cannot in good conscience compare the two other than the art.
I kind of want to play that again now.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I liked it. One thing I really liked about Blue Dragon was you got this ability where, because you could start battles in the overworld if you bumped into an enemy, which is great. If you activated this specific ability, a sphere would appear around your character. You probably remember this. And if you bumped into an enemy that was weak enough, you would automatically defeat them and just take the experience points.
Yep.
I love like running into low-level enemies, just mowing them down. I thought that was hilarious.
Awesome.
Anyways, all right. So we did get one response on TikTok. So channel best.tick.tacker. Best Tic-Tacker. He wrote in, he was like, what if Mario was released today? And I was like, So NES you can argue that one of the games that put NES on the map, platformers and specifically, would be the original Super Mario Brothers. Right. It was a pack-in game. It was revolutionary at the time. It got a lot of people into it. There's a lot of people that have really good memories. Mario's released today. You don't have that flagship platformer. You don't have the history of games that followed. And then the Mario Extended Universe. Would you even have Smash Brothers? Would you have have Mario Party games? Would you have Mario Kart? You know what I mean?
You also probably don't sell as many consoles.
Exactly. Would not having, because again, you had Zelda and you had other good ideas too, but when you take Mario out of the equation, if Shigeru Miyamoto didn't launch with that, would he have had enough backing and standing and success behind him to even get the other games out the door? I feel like if Mario was released today, or if it took until today to get Mario out the door, it would either be a Nintendo that's not as strong putting it out, or it'd be another company because Nintendo didn't make it. I know that's a bold statement, but like that's how huge fucking Mario. Like when you think of Nintendo, that's the first thing you think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
He's ubiquitous with the company. That's like thinking about, you know, Pac-Man in the arcades and Namco, or Sonic and Sega. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, imagine if Sonic or Sega never had Sonic. Would they have survived?
No.
Right? So
nope.
Yeah, it's just something to think about. So
yeah, mascots used to be a big fucking deal.
Huge deal. Huge deal. So thank you, Best Tic Tacker, for that crazy thought. I don't want to live in a world where he was just not released.
Right.
Give me the history of Mario, please. Thank you. I like how all of our what ifs just turned out worse. I guess not. Mine wasn't. Mine was like, yeah, better Final Fantasies, yay.
Yeah.
But other than that,